Good evening and welcome back. Today on Capitol Hill, a Senate hearing turned into something much more than a routine confirmation process. It became a sharp, revealing comparison between two very different visions for the Department of Homeland Security and what border security actually means in practice. Before we get into it, if you want clear breakdowns of what's really happening in Washington, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our coverage.
First of all, thank you, Governor, for being here and for testifying before this committee and for your service, not just to your state, but to America. 9 years ago today, we met in probably the coldest day I've ever been in my life in Iowa. Yes, as you and I were making phone calls and whipping up votes for Republicans in Iowa. My wife, Bridget, who's here, got a chance to meet you. And we left Iowa saying, that person's really going to go far. And here we are 9 years later. You've been an amazing governor, amazing congresswoman, and now you're going to make an even better Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. So I think sometimes in D.C. we tend to complicate things. There is a current Secretary of Homeland Security. So why don't we take this opportunity to do a little job review and compare and contrast him to you. So just if you don't mind, I'll ask you some questions and you can give me an answer. Secretary Mayorkas allowed you said it, just about 400 people on a terror watch list to come into this country illegally. If you were confirmed as Secretary of Homeland Security, how many people on the terror watch list would you allow into this country?
Well, Senator, we would work every single day until we had that number was zero. And if you look at the previous Trump administration over his entire 4 years, in comparison to Joe Biden's number, President Trump, it was 11 that were then removed from the country and faced consequences. When you look at the 382 that Joe Biden has let in and the policies continue, is shocking and needs to be changed immediately.
Mayorkas let in about 12,000 murderers. How many would you target to let into this country?
My goal every day would be to have no murderers allowed into this country and our communities.
Mayorkas allowed 16,000 rapists. How many would you target to let in?
Every day I'd work to make sure that there was none let into this country.
He let 600,000, Mayorkas, 600,000 people with criminal convictions. How many would you allow in?
We would work every day to make sure people are safe and that those with criminal convictions are immediately removed.
How many private jets would you have the United States taxpayers have fly into foreign countries to pick up people to bring them here?
Yeah, Senator, we will no longer be undertaking that mission at the Department of Homeland Security.
So not 700,000 individuals on private jets over the last 4 years. You would not have any?
No. I'll be working with President Trump to put in place his agenda in adherence to our federal laws.
And how many illegals will you plan to house in luxury hotel rooms in Manhattan at a cost of $6,000 per month?
Sir, clearly, Senator, during this election, the American people said they did not support that and that that would not be a part of this new administration.
How about sex change operations for illegals? How many of those would you suspect you would fund?
Senator, I believe that the Department of Homeland Security will be reevaluating its mission in this country to not allow that going forward under President Trump's goals.
And if you had an illegal migrant that was in this country and they committed a crime, would you offer them airfare from one state to another to evade law enforcement?
Sir, I will be following this nation's laws and the Constitution and make sure that all laws are adhered to.
And if you had been the head of the Department of Homeland Security a year or so ago, would you have closed a detention center in Georgia that would have allowed the release of somebody charged with a crime?
Sir, I don't have the specifics to that situation, but certainly that would not be something that I would want to have under my watch.
So just to be clear, Lakem Riley would be alive today if you had been the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Senator, my hope is that that would be true, yes.
Let's switch to another part of the disgraceful immigration laws that Biden and Mayorkas, who objectively, by the way, objectively has been the worst cabinet member ever in the history of the United States of America. Let's talk about temporary protective status. Temporary being the operative word. Mayorkas and Biden just extended temporary protective status again through 2027. Will you continue to corrupt TPS to allow some sort of open borders agenda? And will you use hot weather of 80 degrees and sunny beaches in El Salvador as a reason why people have to stay in America and not safely return?
Yeah, Senator, this program has been abused and manipulated by the Biden administration, and that will no longer be allowed to allow that and these extensions going forward the way that they are. The program was intended to be temporary, and this extension of over 600,000 Venezuelans as well is alarming when you look at what we've seen in different states, including Colorado, with gangs doing damage and harming the individuals and the people that live there.
And in terms of our border, like the physical border, I've been there many times, you've been there many times. Who should be in charge? Who should have operational control of our border? The United States government or the Mexican drug cartels?
Oh, Senator, the United States needs to control our borders and secure them.
So if this were a job interview in the private sector, and you had somebody like Alejandro Mayorkas in charge, and we had the opportunity to upgrade to you, this would be the greatest upgrade in history of the United States of America. But I'm going to end my time with a startling statistic and actually a challenge to the Democrat Party. When Mayorkas was confirmed, every single Democrat voted to confirm him, and 6 Republicans joined all 50 Democrats in that confirmation. If we get to the vote, and hopefully, Chairman, we could do that Monday, because we cannot wait one single day without you being in charge of that department. We should have 100%, 100 senators vote for your confirmation. This will be the litmus test, in my mind, as to whether we have a Democrat Party that's actually serious about doing bipartisan things like securing this country and protecting our citizens. Any Democrat that voted for Mayorkas that does not vote for you should be in front of their voters and removed from office. Thank you for serving, Brian. Thank you for being here, for putting up with the nonsense that you guys have had to put up with over the years. You are going to make an amazing Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Slotkin.
The exchange centered on Kristi Noem, the former governor and congresswoman now nominated to lead the Department of Homeland Security. One senator opened not with confrontation, but with praise, recounting a personal story from nearly a decade ago when they were campaigning together in Iowa on what he described as one of the coldest days of his life. That introduction set the tone. This was not just about policy, it was about trust, loyalty, and a belief that Noem represents a fundamentally different approach to national security. Then came the pivot. The senator suggested a job review, not of Noem, but of the current DHS Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, and asked Noem to directly compare how she would handle the same responsibilities. The first issue raised was the terror watch list. According to the senator, approximately 400 individuals on the terror watch list were allowed to enter the United States illegally under the current administration. His question to Noem was simple and deliberately blunt. If you were secretary, how many would you allow in? Noem's answer was just as direct. 0. She said her goal would be to work every single day until that number reached 0. She went further, offering a comparison that many viewers may not have heard before. Under the Trump administration, she said, 11 individuals on the terror watch list were encountered over 4 years, and those individuals were removed and faced consequences. By contrast, she cited 382 under President Biden, arguing that current policies actively invite risk and demand immediate change. If this is the kind of context you want explained clearly and without political jargon, take a moment to subscribe so you stay informed. The questioning then escalated. The senator alleged that the current DHS leadership allowed roughly 12,000 individuals accused or convicted of murder into the country. Again, the question was not theoretical. How many would Noem allow? Her response stayed consistent. None. Not one. She framed it as a daily mission rather than a vague goal, emphasizing that border security is not an abstract debate, but a matter of community safety. Next came one of the most emotionally charged claims of the hearing. The senator said that roughly 16,000 rapists were allowed into the country under the current administration's watch. The same question followed. How many would you allow? Once again, Noem answered with 0, underscoring that the government's responsibility is to prevent harm before it reaches reaches American communities, not respond after the damage is done. And then came the final number, one that puts all the others into perspective. According to the senator, more than 600,000 people with criminal convictions have entered the United States under current DHS policies. This figure includes a wide range of offenses, not all violent, but collectively it raises a larger issue. Is the system prioritizing enforcement or processing volume? What this exchange reveals is not just a policy disagreement, but a philosophical divide. One side argues that bad enforcement failures are the result of bad policy choices, not lack of resources. The other argues that absolute zero tolerance is unrealistic in a complex immigration system. This hearing made clear where Kristi Noem stands. Her answer suggests she views any preventable criminal entry as a failure of leadership, not an acceptable margin of error. If you appreciate breakdowns that go beyond sound bites and help you understand what these hearings really mean, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Whether you agree or disagree with the claims made today, this hearing shows how immigration and homeland security will remain front and center in the political battle ahead. Numbers like these are not just statistics. They are being used to shape public trust, influence elections, and define what accountability looks like at the highest levels of government. We'll continue following this story and separating rhetoric from reality as more information comes out. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next update.